In this video, we are going to discuss about WCF. The objective of the session is to discuss our journey from objects to services, then difference between web service and WCF service, different WCF contracts available, service contract, data contract, message contract, and bindings techniques available in WCF. So from objects to services, late in 1980s, to share the code among different applications, object-oriented system was the only option, where we create one class and subclassing is done to share the code of the base class. Component-based programming came in picture in 1990s, where one component is created and all applications who want to use the component refer the component, get their individual copy of the component and share the component code. That offered the features of interface based programming, where interface is shared with the applications and applications use the component via interface. They load the component code dynamically and they understand the details about the component through metadata reflected at runtime, what facility that components offer or what service that component offer. Now in service oriented architecture that came in picture in 2000, message based communication happens. One service is running in its own process memory area and the applications who wants to use the service, they take the service via proxy and client and service server where the service is running. They communicate via messages. Client will send the request message and server will send the response message. The challenges in service oriented industries The challenges in service oriented industry is technology independence was in demand and application protocols should be independent of the client and the service. What does it mean? Take an example, remoting as a service or MSMQ as a service. So if it is MSMQ, the client has to be in MSMQ. If it is remoting, remote object is offered as a service and the client has to be in .NET, that is remote client. DCOM, Complus, enterprise services, all these are RPC based programming style. They support distributed infrastructure, but it is in .NET only or it is in Windows programming only. These .NET remoting, MSMQ, DCOM, all these are in .NET and Windows environment. But the technology demand says that client will be in different platform. They will not be in Windows. They will not be using our own protocol which is offered by service. They will not be using the same technology which we use. So it is the interoperability demand, technology independent, application architecture independent, protocol independent code was in demand. On top of these, different clients have different requirements. Some client will use security feature in the service. Some client needs reliable messaging in the service. Some client will say, I want concurrency control to be handled via transactions. So different clients have different needs. One service cannot cater the demands of all the clients. So what is the solution? WCF. In .NET Framework 3.0, 4 patches were added: WCF, WPF, WF and info cart. WCF we will discuss in detail. What does WCF replace? Before WCF, ASMX as a web service was the option. WSE, web service enhancement with the additional features of web service, was another option for the enhanced feature demanding client. .NET remoting for the remote client. COM+ for the COM+ client. MSMQ for the MSMQ client who wants asynchronous messaging. But when WCF came, all these communication technologies are integrated together under the single umbrella. So now here WCF service will be there in between here. And the client who wants web service enhancement feature, they will use the service as a WSE. The client who wants simple web service, they will use the same service as ASMX. The client who is running in MSMQ client, they will use the same service as MSMQ. COM+ client will use the same service as COM+, and .NET remoting will use the same service as a .NET remoting. So in this we see that different types of clients use the same single service in different way. How is it possible to offer? That we will see. ASMX versus WCF. Whenever the service word comes in mind, web service automatically comes in picture. So web service has some complexity. It is good, it is interoperable, it is technology independent also. Java client also access web service, .NET client can also access web service. It is technology independent, but web service has its own complexity. For example, some client needs reliability in the web service. Client 2 will say I want security, client 3 will say I want transactions. One service cannot support all. Basic web service doesn't support all these. So WS star protocol for secure web service, for transactions and reliable messaging web service enhancement has to be used, so that different client need different web service will serve. Though this increases the complexity in the web service. What is so different about WCF? It is same service, but it is exposed differently for different client. How? So you have to understand WCF principles. Services and clients, how it works. Here is a client and here is the service. And the client sends message to service. It is a request message, and the service sends a response message to the client. So the communication between client and service is happening via messaging. Both are running in two different processes independently. Client will have a proxy of the service, and proxy will communicate with the service. Now the endpoint, which explains how one service can be exposed differently to different client. Here is the client and here is the service, which offers different endpoints. So service, one service, let's say calculator service, the same service, but different endpoint. And this endpoint will be chosen by the client based on their own implementation infrastructure. For example, some client wants TCP protocol, another client want HTTP protocol. Two different client, two different protocol. One service will offer one endpoint as a TCP, another endpoint as a HTTP. So the client who needs TCP protocol, they will communicate with TCP endpoint. The client who needs HTTP protocol, they will communicate with HTTP endpoint. Protocol is one part of endpoint. It is not all about endpoint. Address binding and contract. So endpoint is a combination of address binding and combination. Address says from where we have to take the message, in which port, which location, which system, what IP address we can send the message. Binding says how to send the message, which protocol to be used, which encoding format to be used, what style it should support. And contract says what this service offers. For example, if it is a calculator service, then it offers add, subtract, multiply, divide. So these four features are offered by the calculator service. So these four are the contracts of calculator service. And how to communicate between client and service? Pick up particular endpoint. Service will offer multiple endpoint. Client will pick suitable endpoint based on its own infrastructure. WCF architecture messaging at runtime. Here is a service. It offers contracts, different contracts, add, subtract, multiply, divide. Its behavior is differently. Take an example. HTTP GET is true or false. If it is true, that is one behavior we implemented, that we can communicate via a service through HTTP GET protocol also, or HTTP GET request also. Binding says which protocol, what encoding mechanism. Address says how to transport, where to transport the message. So the binding part will disclose, the binding part will tell about how, and address part will tell about where, and contract part will tell about what. Let's see a demo to understand it better. In demo, we will start Visual Studio 2008, right click and run as administrator. We need admin rights to access different ports, and clean everything and file new project, and we will start a class library. We will give suitable name. Name of the solution is WCF application, and the name of the project is Hello Library. And done. We will remove all these. This is not required. And this class1.cs, that can be deleted. Right click in the project, add new item, and here we will add WCF service application, WCF service, WCF service, and give the name of the service hello service. The file name is hello service.cs. You can see here interface and the class both are created. So interface will be exposed to the client, and this hello service will be running at the server where the service is hosted. So interface is having service contract attribute. This says that this interface is going to be exposed as a service, and this operation contract says this is the operation service offers. We will change the name. We want to simply print hello message. So string and do work can be changed to print hello, or say hello is the better name. Say hello. Let's check the name also as a parameter. So done. This say hello is offered as a service. Operations are there in the service say hello. So here also we will change the name. Say hello. Rename. This is string as a return type, and again string name. And now we will return very simple code. We will write return hello plus this name. So if the name entered is Dhiraj, it will return the message hello Dhiraj. And now we will see app.config file. My service is ready. Here in application configuration file, we have system.service model section. This section defines all the service details. So here it is behavior of the service, name equal to hello library dot hello service behavior. Here HTTP get enabled equal to true. It means I can request it from the browser directly. If the service is in the hosting position, it is hosted and it is running. So we can give the request directly from the browser, giving the URL. Further to that, debug, service debug. So include exception details in faults equal to false. When exception comes, don't include the detail. This says here. Now, this is about the services section. Here, one service, you can see that service behavior configuration, it will use the same behavior, hello service behavior. Name of the service is hello library dot hello service, and here is the endpoint. Address, no address, binding, WSHTTP binding, and contract hello library dot I hello service. I told that the service contract is hello library dot I hello service. This I hello service is the contract which is exposed to the client. And here metadata exchange endpoint, address equal to MEX, binding equal to MEX HTTP binding. MEX is metadata exchange HTTP binding, and contract is I metadata exchange. So I metadata exchange the interface which will be used to exchange the metadata, and that metadata will explain the details about the service. Now here we have not given any address. Why? Because base address we have chosen here, http://localhost, and let's change the address to some meaningful name like 9000 port / hello service. So this base address is applicable here, and for this point in metadata, this base address /MEX. So this is all about application configuration file. Close it, close the service, yes, save it, build it. So my library is ready. Now we will add, right click, new project. That project should be console application, because now my service library is ready. We have to host our service. So hello host, some meaningful name, and remove all this. This is not required. Remove this also. And this hello host, that will include first system.service model, because this is host, it should host the service. So system.service model is the namespace has to be referred. So right click in the reference, and system is a bit slow, so let it come, add reference. Now .NET and system.service model we will add system.service model. Then we need to add the reference of the library file, hello library. So browse WCF application, hello library, bin, debug, and hello library.dll. Both references are added. Now using system.service model, we need to refer the namespace so that it will be available everywhere. And using hello library, so that its members can be accessed everywhere. I don't need to write hello library. And now build it once again here, so that references are added properly. It is ready. Now we will create service host equal to new service host. From where this service host has come? This has come from system.service model. Now why this red line? Because it needs the type of service. It will host service, that's fine, but which service? So it needs the type. Type is, what is the service name? Hello service. Where is that defined? In hello library, which is we have already given the reference. So hello service, type of hello service. So bracket is closed. Now here we need again another configuration file, because that host should host the endpoint. It should expose the service in those endpoints. So to add that, add a new item and application configuration file. And to be in the safer side, directly copy, right click and copy here and paste this. Control A, Control V. It is the same endpoint, all configuration what is there in library we have used. If you want to add another, we need to right click. If you want to add another, we can add another endpoint here. So let's use, since it is a first service, we will use small endpoint. If we have to add another endpoint, we can go and add here different endpoints. Since it is a very first example, so let's copy paste and use the same endpoint with the same binding. Now host is ready. We need to program. Host is created. Now host has to be opened. Host is open. Now we need to close it, but before closing we need to check the user choice, whether he wants to close or not. Press enter to exit. And console.readline, so that by the moment user enters, it will be in the running state. And then host.close. So till user traces enter, it will not close. Till any key, just enter is the name. So host is ready. Let's build a solution and set as a startup project for the host and run the host. It will come in the running state. By the time we can close it, and we will start the client. So right click, add new project, and this is console application again. So hello client is the name of the project. So this again, these are not required, and remove this, and my client is ready. By the time we can check, yes, host is running. After this, we will give the service reference. So right click, add service reference. Since the host is running, service is hosted in the host endpoint. So we can discover if it is coming, it is not coming. So we will give the endpoint address. What endpoint we had given there? The same endpoint address. Because we have only one endpoint where the service is hosted, so the same endpoint can be used here. Copy, and here service reference, add service reference, Control V, it is paste, and then go. So it will take you to the service. It is searching the service in this address, and service is available. So you can choose particular service. You can see all this. Now give the reference name, any particular good name which is relevant, like hello service reference. Okay. So it is adding, it is already added. Hello service reference. You can go in the browser, object browser, and you can see hello service client is the namespace. Sorry, hello service client is the client, that is class which is there in hello service reference namespace. So close it, and we will create an object hello service reference dot hello service client, that is my class name, client equal to new hello service client. So we have created the object. This is a proxy. Hello service client is the proxy of the service. Hello service is the name of the service. Hello service client is the proxy. So via proxy we are communicating. And this small client client is the object name, object reference of the proxy. So client dot, we will call the service. What name? Say hello. It expects a name. So let's say Dhiraj. It returns also something. So store it in string, MESSAGE, string message, and then console.writeLine, MESSAGE, message. So print it, whatever is returned, and then right click, set as a startup project. Host is already in running state, service is hosted here, so client can run the service. Let's wait. Yes, hello Dhiraj. So with this, it is a simple example of service in the running state. If the host will be closed, then you try to give the reference of the service, it will not take the reference, even if it is the same address. You can see, it will not find. It is giving the error. And what is the error? This 9000 hello service was unable to connect remote server because there is no service running. It is hosted, but host is not in the running state. So service is not hosted at runtime. That's why it is not able to find. So to run it, first host has to be in the running state, then service reference can be added, and then client code with the proxy. So this is a very simple example of WCF service. We have used hosting technique that is called self-hosting here. And we have used configuration file to set the configuration details. Those configuration details can be set in code also, which we will see in successive demos.